Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IESF Europe Regional Qualifiers. And it's been one heck of a day, man. You're still with me, Arashi, and Burger Kim. And so far, we've had 1-2-0, 2-2-0s. Can we see three?
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible that we'll see the last match of the day might actually be the last final sweep, or will it be something different this time? I mean, that has to be something different, right? Last match of the day is
Mhm.
going to be Serbia versus Spain for another BO3 here today. And honestly, I don't know what's with the matches here. It's countries that I've actually been to. Like Spain, I've been there what last April? Just last April. It's
Wow.
insane that I'm actually gonna be casting the matches here right now. Um, I don't know. I think we've seen Turkey earlier. A lot of 2-0s, a lot of clean sweeps. It's all because of the momentum I guess the team had in game number one, and they just able to like kind of translate it into game number two. But speaking of Spain, Arashi, we're gonna be seeing the team lineups here. Who's gonna be playing for the team in just a little bit? And there you go. It's gonna be Danny, Enrico, Mark, Eduardo, and Alejandro. These are all names that I know so well.
Well, I mean, considering that, the history, the similarities
Yeah.
between Spain and the Philippines, I think it's
Yep.
a very familiar name showing up right here. And
Yeah.
they,
My
they always
classmates'
have some.
names.
I
I
see.
mean, it does sound
Well,
like it, right?
they do have some really nice sounding names, though. I gotta be a bit envious here
Yeah.
because Indonesian names, I don't know if you
True,
guys
true.
know, they're
Oh, I
okay,
want to.
right? But they just feel very bare bones. It lacks that, that flair. So, on the other side, for Serbia, let's check it out, man. The players
Mhm.
for the side of Serbia right here going up against Spain. It's gonna be Gojo.
Ooh, I love
Oh,
that.
BBRS keys, which we also have another keys in Indonesia, by the way. Step ahead, which is cool, and Joker. All
I
right.
like how we're rating the IGNs here right now. I'm pretty sure this. Ooh, I think it's gonna be interesting though if Gojo uses that Gojo Satoru skin of
Exactly.
Savior. That's gonna be insane, right? Like we still have yet to see like where these players are gonna go, right? Like who's gonna go to mid lane, who's going to go to the
Mm-hmm.
jungler position, and there you have it. The two teams that will be going head to head here. And looking at this again, it's a fairly new region for some of these players. They're either starting up with the game. They've had like a lot of experience in ranked games and finally wanna translate it into professional play. And here you have it. The European qualifiers is the best way to showcase it. And so far today, Arashi, we haven't seen a third game in these BO3s. Will this be the final game? Because earlier we talked about Ukraine and Turkey being a little bit more visible in these tournaments. So about Serbia and Spain, I haven't seen so much of them. Maybe in other titles, but in
Mm-hmm.
MLBB though, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see these two go head to head today.
Exactly. When it comes to just the reputation, there isn't right now for match number three. There isn't really one team that everyone kind of like just knows immediately and immediately has as a favorite. So that's a bit of a stark contrast compared to match number one and two. If there would be a game where something crazy actually happens, where a third game actually comes rolling around, in theory, right, it should be this match. So obviously, both of us are very excited, and I hope the people back in Spain, back in Serbia as well, are just looking forward to this because it's a bit of a, like a, what do you call it? It's like a milestone type kind of deal right
Yeah.
here when finally we're seeing just all these European countries just come through and show us what they got. There's a lot of hidden potential here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, milestone, especially for the country, right? If you haven't had a lot of like visibility in esports, right? This is the best way to go, well, a better way to actually be more visible than to be in MLBB, right? And I think it's slowly picking up in Europe, so hopefully it will kind of like kickstart their journey from there, right? Like we've had like numerous good names coming out from like different countries in Europe as well. Like back in M5, we had Kid Bomba, right,
Oh
from
yeah.
Germany. So I mean, who knows? These players might actually be the next Kid Bomba being produced here in IESF. Who knows? We might actually see them maybe in the next World Championships, maybe in the next IESF. So we'll have to stay tuned, right? As Serbia and Spain, I guess the similarities for both these countries, they both start with the letter S, but again, play style, we'll have to find out, I guess, Arashi, in the drafting phase, will they be that type of team who has adjusted to the meta already, like with the assassins,
Mhm.
or are they still pretty much comfortable with, just going for comfort picks, or picks that they've seen in their ranked games, or maybe even in their local community tournaments?
I feel like right now, with the current state of the meta, as long as you have a solid game plan, as in, okay, what is your role in this composition? When is your power spike? How would you get to those power spikes? I feel like as long as you have that solid game plan, a lot of possibilities are still around. And instead, I do feel like our own Southeast Asian region are sticking very closely to the meta, right? Not a lot of teams are really trying to make that groundbreaking step to try and have a drastic change. So you brought up Kid Bomber earlier. I'm really hoping for an equally bombastic kind of draft, kind of selection here for this match in particular, and I can't wait, man. I think there's gonna be again a lot of emphasis in the roamers, especially and the mid lane. The fact is, both these roles just get their way around the map again and again, and depending on the idea, the game plan, the junglers as well, because they have to actually rotate to the neutral objectives, but as far as when the aggression, where it gets taken to, the jungler has a lot of say in that situation, depending on his farming patterns.
Yeah, I think there's a heavy focus on, I think probably like two heroes that come into mind here in the European qualifiers so far. It has been heavily centered on Edith and the Roger.
True.
I guess like honorable mention would go to the Yuzong, but these are the picks that you would see surface time and time, not just in one series, but it happened already in the first two series. If you guys have been catching up, but immediately going straight into the draft, we see fast fans coming out here from Serbia. You got the Faramis and the Ling, and as for Spain, they have caught up as well with the meta, taking out the Savior and the D-Rot here as well. Very specific bans on the D-Rot and the Faramis. I mean, these aren't heroes that you would see on the ban list, but the Ling and Savior I would understand.
My mind immediately makes the connection, like, oh, Spain sees a guy called Gojo on the side of Serbia. It's like, nah,
Oh.
take away the savior, man. We ain't
They
risking
heard
it.
me, man. They heard me.
We have no idea. Because by all means, maybe he is like a savior main, right? His name is
Yeah.
Gojo. Who knows? But they ban away Serbia. They ban away the Faramis as well. We've seen this being a pattern, but usually when they want to go for this, either a dive heavy style, or if they're really trying to stop a dive heavy style as well. So for Serbia, I think it might be the latter. They banned the Ling as
Oh.
well, but finally we see a bit of a massive difference here. The chip that wasn't really let go for the first two matches makes its way
And
to
the
Serbia.
Roger. Yeah, and the Roger, it just almost immediately comes up. It does not matter what is the first pick, but they are very comfortable with this hero. It's very flexible as well, so I do understand why that is picked up. See, it is almost the same here, Arashi. Like, it is the same pattern. I don't know if it is a meta that seems to be favored in teams like Spain and Slovenia, but all of these letter S countries so far, they love this Roger, and most immediately they pair it up with a Yuzong, somebody to access to the backline. They still need someone to counter out this chip. I was expecting to see a Chip Loyi combination. Oh, okay, I just called it. Chip Loyi. I was waiting for that because most of the time it's either the chip is banned away, if not the Loye. But now this is only gangs that we're talking about, Arashi. Total map control, not to mention the Moscow as well, that has very much easy access throughout the land of Dawn here.
Look at like the global composition, man.
Oh,
All
yeah.
these three heroes, part of why they have been so meta, of course, is their dominant laning and the early power spikes, but also that global presence. Kim, what are you on, man? How did you predict the whole
I have
the chip low
because
Yi? That is insane.
because I mean MLBB is going global. What better way to actually go global than to have these two heroes? I've seen this. Okay, this is a meta here in the women's scene in particular for the Philippines. This is a meta. Almost all of the time, it's either the chip is banned or the low is banned, or most of the time they're both banned. But it seems like Spain, they go for a little bit more of the comfort. They pick up the Beatrix here for their last pick, which kind of means or most often, it doesn't even matter. Like it's a Beatrix in the gold lane, and this is most definitely a Roger in the gold lane. But my only worry is with all of the unleague ganks that Serbia has, will they actually have enough time to give space for heroes like the Roger and the Beatrix to actually scale up?
I feel like for Spain right here, if you even if you look at their bans, right, they immediately notice the threat of a global play gank. So they ban away the Franco, they ban away the Guinevere. As far as the combinations that are available, the Kaja usually comes to mind as well. They
Mm-hmm.
seem to be really recognizing that there's a threat for these gangs to come out of nowhere, and they're trying to find ways to try and deny it. And Serbia very intelligently reads into that, and they ban away the Grok, right? The one person that can kind of stand in the front, look for information, and still stay relatively safe from crowd control. And for Spain, trying to muddle the waters even more, they ban away the Hellcurt. So I don't know if that's a
Mm-hmm.
respect type thing, or if they are thinking, okay, man, 3 global ultimates. What other
And then you
ultimate is
got
global? Hellcurt. Okay, ban him away, ban him away.
oh my gosh, that would be so insane, right? To think like you have the diversion plays and the portals coming out from the chip, and then you make it all dark. Like it's so difficult to tell like where all of these heroes are going to be coming from. The usual answer I would see to a chip Loi is a Carmilla. A Carmilla, maybe even
Right.
a Minotaur. These are the usual answers. Like CC. If I mean, what better way to capture these heroes than to have like CC heroes, like Kufra, even like any tank hero that has CC. But highly recommend Carmilla. It's really good, especially when they're all clumped in together. You got the shared damage, and not to mention I'm a little bit um biased towards that hero because it's my main hero. So I love that it's popping
Oh.
up, and it's the usual answer that I see to the chip and the Loi. But they're gonna go for something else. This is also pretty good, right? The Tigreal. Instant CC once they come out of that.
Oh,
But
wow.
man, Serbia just got everything covered. They got it at Tigreal here, but they answer out with the Mincetar. So this is gonna be hard rather for Spain to go in for these dives, especially with the Roger, right? Like with the Mincetar's King's Calling, it is
hmm
gonna be difficult to have those team fights.
It might stand in the way of the Tigreal engage or counter engage potential as well. I was thinking if it's not a Carmilla, then a roamer with AoE crowd control. I think that's important to distinguish because any kind of crowd control is great, but against a full composition that wants the team fight, I think the AoE crowd control is where it becomes really
Oh no.
valuable. But even there, Serbia coming in with a Hayabusa, they have a lot of potential here, a lot of ways you can really play this. They can go for the pick off style, they can go for the split heavy style as well because they do have a chip, and technically even the weakness of the Loyi, the nurse to the cooldown of the diversion, can kind of be supplemented by the shortcut, the portals from the chip as well. So Serbia coming out with a very unique approach right here. And for Spain, they were banking on getting some kind of counter engage, but now with the Mincither in the picture, they go for an Odette.
Oh
They're just trying to bank everything on just a big team fight. But I do have concerns about the durability of their roster right here. That's
yeah.
probably why Serbia also banned away the Florin, right? They want to make sure that in a full-on drawn-out fight, they can have the upper hand.
Man, this is a very scary lineup for Serbia, right? But looking at this, it's going to be buff dependent as well with the Hayabusa. But if you can make it work like Turkey earlier, have great rotations. And speaking of rotations, Serbia has all of it, right? Like looking at their lineup, it's looking pretty scary. Whereas there's two things you can do with the lineup of Serbia. You can go for ganks, or you can use it to just split push, right? There's so many things that you can do with the lineup. Whereas Spain, it is very honest, right? Like it's just team fights. You got the Tigreal, you got the Odette, and you got the Yuzong for the backlines. But will that actually be the case here? Because Serbia can play two different games here.
Yeah, they do have a decent amount of crowd control, but it all depends on the placement, the positioning of the members of Serbia, right? If they are able to actually distance themselves away from each other and not clump up to allow for a big implosion or a big furious dive petrify combo, it's going to be very difficult for Spain to really try and get a good combo. Even if they do have the swan song from Dani on the Odette, gonna be a lot easier said than done to try and make sure that he can actually get a full channel here, especially with all the crowd control tools available on the side of Serbia.
Yes, it's very difficult to deal with this combination too, not unless you can be as aggressive as the Chip and Loi. But expect to see, especially when that level 4 hits the side of Serbia, you're gonna see like so much potential with this draft, right? You can go down south, you can go down top, or even in the mid lane. It's gonna be so easy for Serbia to work their way around the map. But as you can see, Spain already doing their own movements here. Mark gonna go head to head here with BBRS, but he is in trouble here. He gets taken down by BBRS. And that is going to be Serbia drawing in the first blood. And not to mention, Arashi, that went straight to their jungler.
That's unfortunate, man. We've seen how deadly a Hayabusa can be with the early game snowball. And early on, though, we see Hayes here, the low Yi, go for the Demon Shoes, though, prioritizing the mana. But look at that play.
Yep. Rotation diversion combination. Alejandro forced to back away. Very rough start for the side of Spain, right? Everywhere they try to go, they try to attempt and make these plays, but Serbia just got every single area covered. And not to mention, the poke potential is just way too great as well with the Loi and even the chip at that.
Like right now, Spain needs to identify which part of the map they do have pressure on. Because, I mean, especially as far as the EXP lane is concerned, the Yuzong is definitely still a lot stronger than the Mincetar, at least for now. So they have to try and see where they have power, where they have control, and use that to try and go for an advantage. But look at that play. Gojo almost turns it around.
Yep, Danny here as well, gonna get a step ahead. Znaka, but here they are, right where the turtle is at, but step ahead might actually be in trouble here. Does not have that level 4. Gets spotted out here by Mike, and Danny gonna be able to play that swan song and get in that kill and position themselves here in the turtle. But I think Serbia has other plans, because as you can see, BBRS is actually up top trying to gank Enrico here. They're gonna trade the gold laner for the turtle here, which is... I'm not so sure, Arashi. What would you say is a little bit more worth it? Getting the turtle or getting the pick off on the gold laner?
Considering the matchup of the gold lane, I feel like the pickoff definitely has some value. The turtle will be great, but at this point, I feel like Serbia is just respecting the teamfight potential. But look at this.
Yep, Hayes is going to get a lot of damage. Petrify onto Alejandro. Will he actually pounce in and actually gets it?
Oh.
And now here, Serbia is in trouble. Look at the massive CC. No level 4 up again, but it is going to be the King's Calling as Eduardo picks up a triple kill. BBRS a little bit too late there, as Spain will be able to pick up the kill. There's the shutdown in the nick of time from Hayes as the side of Serbia claps back.
That's the early game potential coming in from the low Yi. Like Serbia needs to acknowledge as well that their strong side is actually the mid lane as of right now. So if they go for fights where they're relying on the side laners, the gold lane, or the EXP lane to really output that damage, to really be in the front line and tanking all that damage as well, it's going to be too idealistic. Spain actually has a lot stronger laners, and you can see that even with the shortcut, everyone funnels into that portal, but they did not come out on top there. So Serbia needs to pick and choose their engagements and use that macro properly.
Was he able to get in the purple buff? There goes Mark and Danny with the swan song. They take down 2. The shutdown comes through as well for BBRS as Spain just keeps on forcing out these team fights that Serbia is not prepared to take.
Ooh, and even in the bottom side, another play by Eduardo here, dominant on this Yuzong. This is why the Mincetar, we haven't seen it in the EXP lane that often. Spain is just completely brute forcing all these fights. They're trying to make sure that they pull Serbia into a brawl instead by going for these invades, by going for these moments where they can tell where Serbia is going to be at.
Yep, and then now they're at a futile attempt on trying to stop the side of Spain. There's the rotation diversion combo and the tug in by Gojo. Alejandro will get taken in, but now Danny as well forced to pop in that swan song. Alejandro gonna try to go in for the Lycan Cows. It's not gonna be enough. The shutdown comes through from Gojo as the side of Serbia claps back, but Danny though on the mid lane, he's able to take down BBRS.
BBRS losing 1v1 against the Odette wasn't expected, but the Purify is allowed to get Danny out of that situation. Joker though, whoa!
Winter Truncheon, but now Gojo as well decides to stop it right now. Flickers in and gets in the King's Calling, but ultimately gets shut down again by Eduardo.
Both teams out for blood, man. This is a brawl-heavy game. And Danny, itemizing with an early Winter Crown there, just kind of saved his skin in that 1v1 situation. But for now, it's Spain using this big teamfight ultimates to try and make a play, and now going for step ahead.
Yep, step ahead is a little bit tanky here, but he's going to get taken down by the two members here of Spain and now BBRS as well. This is exactly how you kind of control an assassin jungler, right? Like make sure that all of the lanes are taken out, right? Like BBRS does not know where to go here right now because Spain has been forcing out these team fights. Look at the bottom side. I think Gojo's going to be in trouble there. Even under the turret, they will be able to take him. But here on the top side, BBRS is not going to be able to survive here as well as Spain. Wow, actually picks up 15 kills here. You're right, Arashi. I'm not even sure if this is a 5v5 matchup. It's just an all-out brawl. Everyone just going all the way in. Danny a little bit too deep there as Hayes will be able to fight back. Step Ahead is the only one remaining here as Mark and Enrico will be teaming up against him. But look at the portal. Gojo comes right in and saves the day as Alejandro will be forced to back away. But here comes Eduardo rather. Gonna try to go in for Gojo. He still has the Petrify and can still go for it as Alejandro finally draws in the Lycan Pounds and gets the kill. 19 kills for Spain.
Wow, man. Again, everyone just diving in all the way behind turrets. Usually we see teams get a bit of an advantage and they slowly try and chip down those first turrets in the lanes, but not this game, and now they're going for another fight.
Yep, Danny forced to use the Winter Crown and the Swan Song. It just can cause these outplays, right? You think that you've gotten the Odette, but it is just the Winter Crown that just saves the day. And, Serbia, honestly, I'm not going to lie, this is a very, very good, I would say, draft coming out from there. It looks really scary on paper, but look at how Spain is just executing their draft. They don't care about all of these engages. They just go for the team fights. And now Mark going to be able to take a brunt of the damage. BBRS going to try to take him down. Step Ahead as well. Going to try to zone out Danny. Mark going to come right in. Petrify comes through for Step Ahead as Alejandro will try to go in for the basic attacks. Danny going to take in a brunt of the damage. Still has the shield and the Swan Song as Alejandro does the cleanup work. 25 kills. BBRS as well is not spared from that onslaught because Spain is here to take in everything. 25 kills here. Arashi, make that 26. Not even stopping at this point. I'm not even sure what I'm watching here anymore. Is it a brawl match or is it a 5v5? Because it seems like that, right? Like when they see someone, they just go for the full engage.
It's on site, man. And what the heck was that damage, my guy? Alejandro just nuking Joker immediately. Where did he go? Now Hayes gets the glowing one, but at this point, they have lost so much tempo, and Spain is just not allowing Serbia to have enough control, enough time to prep for a macro play. Despite all the macro tools, macro is the last thing we're seeing right here. Both teams going for mechanical plays, diving, walking under the turrets, tanking it. What is going on? BBRS. Can he escape?
Oh no, he's in the wrong turret, goes all the way back, finds Mark, and still alive. Oh, not for long, because they're going to clear out the work. He just actually dived. He had no choice there at that point, but Mark here finds in two. Does he have the impulsion? But Danny, with the Swan Song, just clears out the work once again. A double kill for the Odette. And you were just talking about it, right, Arashi? The durability of the composition here of Spain is just a little bit questionable, but right now you see that it's actually working out so well for them. 30 kills for the side of Spain, and they get the first Lord of the game.
I mean, a historical figure that's smarter than all of us says that the best defense is a great offense, and right now Spain is putting that to practice, man. They have so much damage that they don't even have to worry about tanking damage. And look at Danny, not even half an HP bar, and he's still just standing there unfazed, knowing that with the Swan Song and with the Blood Wings, she will still be able to just go in and nuke everyone. Serbia is the one that has to wait for a massive play, and right now the only real person that can make that kind of play is Gojo. So will he be lore accurate and come in to save the day? But right now Spain goes for the play under the base.
Mark, he still has that implosion up, and now you see the Black Dragon form assault to zone everyone out. They're in the enemy's territory, but they're gonna get in. That inhibitor on the mid side, step ahead, gonna be forced to dive right in. He's the front line. Look at the damage coming through. Eduardo gonna dive right in, and Rico's gonna get caught out. Joker's gonna be able to free hit everyone. He's still not taken down, doing his very best to save the base. Alejandro picks up a double kill, and without the Lord, he picks up the triple. Winter Crown into play. No minions in as Spain locks in that tower and takes in game number 1.
Wow, what a game, man. Again, we did not get to confirm how long that game was. Everything was just happening so fast. I have no idea what happened. It's like both teams were waiting the whole time. They saw the previous 2 matches and they're like, what a slow game. Below 10 minutes? We have to pump those numbers, man. We got to make this game even faster. Let's go for an all-out brawl. Try and go for snowballs. And despite all that macro threat, Serbia just were unable to execute, man. Spain just absolutely pressured, domineered them from the laning phase, and they were making insane plays. Like the mid laner just walking in under the turret. What are we watching, man? They don't care.
I think they didn't get your memo, Arashi. you were talking about the numbers, right? But we're talking about the number of kills that Spain managed to bag in this game. That's like 30 plus kills, right? Like it's not even the number. I wasn't even keeping my eyes peeled for the number of minutes that you had in this game. I was just looking at the numbers that Spain had, like 21 kills in 7 minutes. To be able to accumulate this much is to be able to force out all of these team fights. And Serbia, with that being said, right, they've been walking into all of these traps that Spain just laid out, right? They think they're gonna go for the engage, but even though like Mark is taken down, Eduardo's taken down, it's just a matter of the cleanup work being done here by Alejandro and even Danny.
Well, 30 kills is what Spain have managed to get in this game, and you're seeing that insane damage and the difference in levels, man. I think Spain in the mid game, they kind of risked it like in a very risky fashion, and they just kept going for the 50-50s, for the outplays, for the mechanical plays. But for them, it paid off, man. They were snowballed so hard right there. It doesn't even seem like the Lord was even something they were considering. It was just another minion as far as they're concerned. They just went straight in for the base and made sure that they can take out Serbia before they can get to use any of their creative tools, like the diversion or the shortcut. It's like they're trying to, defeat the intellectual playstyle by pure brute force, man. They just went at it.
Yeah, because by the time that Serbia was like, we're going to be on the way, they just cut it right through. Like Spain just went in for the all-out brawl and forced all of these team fights that Serbia couldn't take. But that was just game number 1, Arashi. We still have one more game, and it's going to be the match point here for Spain. But don't you guys go away. We're going to be right back after this short break. Stay tuned at IESF European Regional Qualifiers 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to match 3 right here for the day. Still between Serbia and Spain for the IESF Europe Regional Qualifier. And we're seeing a very exciting turn. And, technically, we were talking about this during the break, but this can really go both ways with how brawly things have been. They don't do this conservative style we're used to where, we get a gold lead and we maintain it and give nothing back. Suffocate you by taking away your jungle resources. No, they just want that action, bro. They just kept going in.
You know why they're doing this? You know why they're doing this all-out brawl, Arashi? It's because they need to complete the task in MLBB. I know you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody on the live stream knows what I'm talking about. There has been a lot of free skins popping out. Thank you, by the way, to Moontaw. There's a lot of free skins popping out. The Carmilla Epic skin. There's also like a lucky box, right? There where you get like a free random special skin, right? And all out brawl. That's all you need to do. If you need to finish 4 games every day, that's the best way to go. But kidding aside, Spain, I don't even know where to begin, Arashi. 30 plus kills in the first game. Man, that's just a statement out to Serbia, right? Like, I mean, to think on paper, Serbia just had, I would say, a very scary draft, but Spain just managed to make it work.
I mean, showing again that there's a right tool for the job, right? And it's not just about securing the meta picks, the strong picks. It's also about how you want to use them, because going back to that, earlier we saw Serbia trying to go for a bit of a trade, right? They're trying to avoid all these massive brawls because they saw the Tigreal, they saw the Odette as well, and I think they identified like, oh, level 4, if you just run straight into that, might be a bit dangerous. So they go for a bit of a trade, but afterwards, Spain, I guess, I would say from the way they were moving, kind of identified like, okay, hang on a minute, they're trying to avoid us here. Let's go where they can't avoid us, and generally, it's where the neutral objectives are. So the turtles, the purple buffs, the turrets, right? When you want to chase them across the map and they don't want to engage, you take away those objectives, and the rest will funnel through. And that's exactly what we saw. Serbia unwilling to let go of the other objectives around the map, and they're just roped by force into these brawls, man. 5v5 nonstop.
Speaking of brawls, okay, Serbia finally took out the chip because since Spain's going to be on the blue side, this might actually open up a different strategy for the team, right? Like they might actually be thinking of the exact same thing that Serbia was thinking of in game number 1, right? But this time Spain, it seems like even though they're on the blue side, Arashi, it is still the same. The Savior, the D-Rot, these are very specific bans that you're talking about. Like D-Rot, it might just be a power pick coming out from Serbia, and Serbia seems to like taking out these like team fight oriented heroes. So this Chip, this Paramis, I wouldn't be surprised if they take out maybe another CC hero. I'm not so sure this time. Like there's a lot open, by the way, Arashi. Even in game number 1, I'm surprised no one picked up the new hero Zushin for this round, or maybe they're just not comfortable with it.
I mean, exactly. When you're talking about brawls, I feel like the Tsushin definitely has a bit more flexibility when it comes to it. But for Spain, they just go straight for the Adet. So I think AoE is something they want to try and mitigate. And for Serbia, that Yuzong, I mean, we saw,
Oh yeah,
I believe, who was it? I think Alejandro, was it?
yeah.
The
It
names are
was
so similar.
Eduardo and
Oh,
Alejandro.
Eduardo.
It was
Well, yeah, well,
Eduardo.
whoever's on
Yeah.
the youth song goes in 1v4, gets a kill, and gets out. That's something that kind of makes a statement, man. But moving on with this, Spain gets their hand on the Roger, so that's a big threat for Serbia still. And I guess they're just a Gojo hater, man. They don't want to see him on the line of dawn at all.
Oh man, you're not gonna see that. But wow, okay, the high loss was actually banned out in the first game. It's actually
Mhm.
open this time for Serbia to pick up. I'm not so sure if this will be something that will change the type of play. But yeah, I was talking about the Zushi. I was like, nobody's picking it up. It's open actually, and Spain will actually be picking it up for themselves. They also pick up the carry here on the gold lane, someone that can kind of rip or peel the front line here of Serbia, especially you're going up against the high loss here. But it's not going to be easy to pull off. We're going to have to find out the last 2 picks, though. They still need someone to frontline for their side. And I think Serbia can now start to take out all these frontliners. They picked up the Tigreal in game number 1, so I'm not so sure. Minotaur, perhaps, could be an option here to take out for Serbia.
Yeah, I think crowd control definitely, if they are both planning on going for a brawl heavy style, then crowd control definitely kind of swings the odds in your favor. But I can't help but feel like this kind of reminds me of, was it game 1 of today with Ukraine?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
there's a high loss, right? That's supposedly going to be so tanky with the vengeance. But on the other side, there's just an abundance of damage. And for Spain right here, with our Roger, Carry, and the Chushin as well, I can't help but worry for the health of this Hylos, man. He's going to be taken out quite early on, unless, of course, they're planning on, again, on some kind of rotational play, because they do have the Hylos that can be very active around the map, and they have a Novaria here that can really contest the wave clear, because Suchin can actually do it over time by spamming out the spell, but for Novaria, it's a lot faster, and you can just cast the spells, let it loose, and then leave the lane immediately. So rotations, I think, is still what Serbia seems to try and get, even without the Loyi and the chip.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of low Yi, that's going to be the final ban here for Spain, which means that they're willing to let go of like heroes like the Hayabusa and the Ling, by the way, that is still open. I'm not so sure if that's an option that Serbia is comfortable with. It is up for the taking, right? And going up against a lineup like Spain, so you got 2 marksmen, glass cannon type of composition, it's going to be easy to do all these ganks with the Ling. I mean, if BBRS is comfortable with that here. I mean, he pulled off a Hayabusa earlier, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that is in his pocket as well. But Serbia, gonna go for the Lunox here in the gold lane. Somebody that can bully the carry in the early game, but again, with the rotations that Spain did earlier, they managed to pull it off. The Beatrix in the laning phase earlier.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. Like, if you're saying it's a golden Lunox, there's a Moskov there already, but in the mid lane there's
Oh,
Novaria. But if you're taking this as a Novaria roam, which we
Lunox jungle?
sometimes see, there is a
Oh, I totally
Hylos.
didn't see that. I
Or
completely
yeah,
like.
could
I
be a
think it's
Lunox
because the
jungle by
high
all
loss
means.
blends with Serbia's color, right? Like it's yellow. So I was like, wait, what was that? Oh yeah, it's the Moskov. I completely forgot. Not unless you're talking about a
Oh,
jungle Lunox. They pick up the Cho here for Spain. And I know there was some really good adjustments that were made here to the Cho, like it's CC immune for quite some time. And the Terizia to boot. Okay, so they don't really have that heavy front line that we were talking about, the Minotaur, but they do have an abundance of setup plays. The Way of the Dragon and the penalty zone. So Serbia, they still need the final puzzle to their overall picture. They got the Lunox. Again, I still don't know what they're going to do with this lineup. Is it going to be a jungle Lunox? They still need an XP laner here, for sure. That I'm sure. Not unless they want to put the high loss in the XP.
right. That was what I was thinking about. Because again, it depends on where the Lunox goes, honestly. Because if Lunox is mid, then Novaria will be shifted over to the roam usually. And if
Yeah.
Novaria is in the wait a
What?
minute,
See? It
what
makes
is
it all
going
the more
on? No,
confusing. What?
I think it has to be Hylos EXP and Lunox Jungle. I think
Jungle,
it's the
yeah.
only way this kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even so, like, dang, Serbia, what's going on, bro?
Yeah,
By all means,
earlier it was. I think in game number one, or actually, it was a little bit more. It was a little bit more honest, right? Like he knew where these heroes were going, but now Serbia just wants to confuse every one of us. Like, where are these heroes going? And I think that's very plausible, Arashi, what you mentioned. A jungle Lunox and the Minotaur in the roam position. I think that is the most the best way to actually kind of digest this lineup from Serbia here in game number two.
well, if that's the case, then I think immediately our eye should be on that mid lane, man. Because with the Chushin against the Novaria, especially level 1, it's going to be Novaria Minotaur, presumably, clearing, which is still pretty okay. But against a Chushin and a Cho, I think that clear speed is going to be a lot faster. And Cho is notorious, man. I think we saw the Grok ban away earlier for a reason as well. Because with a jungle Lunox, you're so vulnerable to these disruptions. And the Cho can do as good as a job as well, technically, with the kit that's so flexible. And you can see immediately, right? Serbia sends multiple members to try and assist with the clearing because they know it's going to be a big factor here.
Okay, so actually it was a glitch. So it's actually an R-lot pickup here for Serbia, right?
Oh,
Okay, that makes so much more sense. Thank you so much. So it was okay. It is a jungle high loss this time. So it wasn't. What was the pick of Serbia that was shown earlier? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's still very confusing. But this is a little bit more plausible from their side. But you see a lot of the pokes coming out from Spain here, as early as now, and Gojo as well, forced to flicker out very early on. But looking at this, you did mention the wave clear is going to favor the side here of Spain a little bit more. And looking at how they're playing this out, they're playing it so aggressive. But with high loss being part of the jungle and the ring, it's gonna take a little
oh,
bit of the damage. Gojo though, used up the flicker. Wait, why did he go back? I think he was gonna try to go for the engage, and right now Alejandro is gonna be able to get in the Lycan pouch, picks up a double, and now BBRS still does not have that level 4 just yet. He might actually just go for the triple here as early as the 1 minute mark. It's not even 2 minutes. Alejandro, what is going on here? 3 kills for the side of Spain.
it just does not stop, man. You just can't stop with Spain going for all the aggressive plays. And why wouldn't they? They have all this poke damage, and technically their mid laner has unlimited mana. As long as the spells aren't used on literally nothing, you're gonna have all the mana you can spend again and again. And they're trying to use that to at least harass and get members low enough. And when that happens, Alejandro is on the hunt.
Alejandro, just as Lady Gaga would have said, the man, you just say the name, and it's just really, you see why this Roger is a priority pick for the side of Spain, and it seems like Alejandro is just way too comfortable at this. Triple kill, even before the 2 minute mark, is just way too scary. And now it really disrupts the idea or
Oh,
what Serbia wants to happen here, Mark. I'm not so sure he was going to try to go in for the play,
oh,
knowing that Gojo's not level 4 just yet. All these risque plays coming out from Spain, but it seems to pay off. There you go, Mark. Still going to be able to find the Lunox there, Gojo. They actually switched up their role. So earlier, it was actually Gojo on the XP lane, and now they actually put him on
right.
the mid lane. Okay, that's actually
What?
pretty interesting too. Yeah, this
Interesting. So is this like the true potential of Serbia? They were hiding it from us all along. As of right now, though, Spain still has all the prior now. Immediately, they're just going for the turtle.
glorious pathway here as well for BBRS, but they took the turtle here right now. Hayes gonna be able to find Eduardo there. Penalty zone not enough as Alejandro is going wild again, going in for the Lycan pounce, just going in for the basic attacks. A double kill for Hayes though at the backside with the final slash, and right now step ahead as well. Going to be forced to use that Minoan's Fury, but they're not able to take anyone. So at least this time, Serbia has some clapbacks in the form of Hayes.
I mean, Step Ahead tries to go for a very ambitious Flicker Minion Fury play, but it's almost like he's a step behind instead. Just barely out of range for that. But look at Spain. They're just doing this again and again. There's no reason for them to really stop doing it. Now going for Step Ahead, taking him out. No questions asked, man. It's just too much damage output again and again, going straight into the jungle as well.
They find BBS. Oh no! Way of the Dragon out of the glorious pathway, and Alejandro draws the kill. Mark as well tanking up the damage here in Serbia. They just have no answers here as of the moment. And while all of that is happening, we haven't even checked Enrico here, who has been having the time of his life in the gold lane, picking up a lot of the gold plating and the kills as well. But Hayes gonna go in for the final slash as Eduardo gonna try to go in for the penalty zone. Gojo gonna be the first target here as Danny will be able to use that lantern to its fullest potential. And now with the sides being cleared, they can be able to take in all of these pickoffs here right now. BBS with nowhere to go gets tugged in. Glorious pathway, not enough to save his life as Spain will be able to take in the gold plating as well as all of the members here. Two members from the side of Serbia, they still have no answers or no clapbacks for the side of Spain.
Spain is just turning on the meat grinder, man. They are pulling Serbia wherever they are, just forcing them into fights. And whenever the fight happens, their composition just works so much better right here. And this is even before talking about the insane playmaking potential that Mark and Eduardo can have. These are just plays based on Dani just walking forward, doing damage. But look at the bottom side.
Yep, Hayes, does he have that final slash? He can go for the counter engage, but Alejandro says no, he gets the shutdown on him in the glorious pathway. Again, a little bit too late here right now as Alejandro. Look at how the basic attacks are just dishing out so much damage as Mark will be able to pull off another Way of the Dragon. They're going to dive in the towers here. Order of Brilliance will be committed here by Gojo. As Alejandro says no again. We'll be able to pick up the triple 5 minutes in. I think Arashi, they're trying to break their record here right now. They had 31 kills in game number 1, and they're trying to break that right now. 30 kills for Alejandro alone.
I think it's crazy the amount of kills that he has, but he has just funneled all of these resources by the way the composition works. Like we said, it's just chip damage coming in from everyone, and that allows Alejandro to just get a lot of big plays. But look at this glorious pathway.
Wow! Did you see that Winter Crown? But hold that thought. We're going to have another engage here as Alejandro will be able to step in the middle of it all, but he's all alone here. They might get the shutdown. He's a little bit too sneaky there. There's Joker with the shutdown. And finally, Serbia going to try to go out for the full engage as Eduardo right now looking for the proper target. Hayes is going to get a brunt of the damage from Enrico. 1 HP left and still able to clap back. A double kill for Eduardo. A little bit messy there, but we get trades after trades as Eduardo says it is still not over. He picks up the maniac while BBS will be able to recall back in the nick of time, or that would have been the first savage here.
You love to see it, man. Eduardo, War Axe into Queen's Wings. He is here for the brawl. He does not care about being a frontliner. Every man for themselves. He just wants the fight again and again. He does not back down. 1v3, and somehow, some way, he was able to secure multiple kills, but it doesn't end right there.
There goes the Way of the Dragon again onto BBRS as Eduardo from the back lines. He still has the penalty zone onto the back lines. BBRS the first one to taken down as Hayes as well, running for his dear life. Alejandro picks up a triple, but Eduardo says, not a maniac, it's gonna be me for today. 23 kills for Spain. How long can this keep on going, Arashi? I mean, 23 kills, a little bit more, they're gonna break their record in the first game.
It's so punishing for the side of for Serbia right here, because for Spain they can just keep doing this non-stop, because like we mentioned, Dani can just spam all these spells out, and for the most part everyone has sustainability, so they can just keep fighting, keep making plays. Eduardo
Oh
though,
no. Yep, the penalty zone comes through here, but it is going to be the Minoan's Fury to save the day. The shutdown by Joker picks up a double. Enrico right now going to be doing a duel, 1v1 duel. Gets the speedy light wheel, still not able to escape that, but Hayes right now claps back as well, gets in the slash through, and will be able to take down for Spain right now. They're starting to suffer all of these clapbacks that are being made here by Serbia. Now Dani as well going to be able to get the tug and the final slash. Wow. This might actually just be a comeback here from Serbia. They were off to a great start, but again, it's 8 minutes in. It's so hard to tell. If Spain keeps on going for these full engages, it's going to be really hard for them. And with that being said, after that wipeout, Serbia goes straight for the Lord.
and they might get it. There's just a lot of time spent right here, but they're taking it relatively slowly, and the Lord does so much damage. Spain is back.
It's going to be BBRS going to be taking in that Lord. Hayes going to be the first one to fall. And right now, Mark as well. Joker going to be able to get in Mark, way of the dragon onto the backside as Alejandro, like and once again, able to pick up the kill. And right now, even with the Lord, penalty zone and Minoan's Fury, will it be enough to stop the day, as BBRS will not be able to pick up the kill? It's only one left remain standing. It's going to be Gojo there, but Spain, they still have to take down this Lord though. This was a really, really messy team fight. Nice attempt from Spain, but Serbia, fortunately enough, they were able to take the Lord.
They're able to take the Lord, but what can they get with it? In fact, they've already lost a turret right here, and Spain are sending the roamer to clear the far side of the map. They're still putting on the pace, going straight for the base turrets, even before Serbia can recollect.
Whoa! Oh, that damage coming out from Alejandro. Sending Joker back, and now Alejandro, speaking of Hayes, he's going to be able to take him. He's a little bit too early there. Now Eduardo and the rest of the gang will be able to get the penalty zone onto the backside. Gojo will be able to pop in the light, as well as the damage coming out from the backside. BBRS, the next target here for the side of Spain. 2 for the price of 2. Just as we were having our eyes onto Alejandro, we forgot about Enrico here. Mark gonna be able to get Joker a double kill, but the final slash from Hayes, will it be enough to take down Enrico? It's gonna be a 1-for-1 trade. The shutdown comes through for Gojo. Man, it is getting really exciting here, Arashi, because 33 kills. Okay, Spain broke their record for the first game, but Serbia is starting to show signs of life here in this game. They say it's not over until it's over. And their damage dealers are starting to shine here. To see Gojo and even Hayes here has been doing miracle work for the side of Serbia.
Hayes in particular has been the enabler for his team again and again. Half of these plays wouldn't work out if he didn't really set it up initially with an amazing final slash or a petrified play. And Spain needs to be very careful, because in the late game, this Hylas, can be very annoying. The Minotaur as well has a lot of crowd control to throw around, but the Moskov and the Lunox are going to scale very, very well into the late game. And even though they do have the Chushin and the carry to try and match them the later the game goes, you never know what's going to happen. So Spain needs to, for sure, be a bit more careful. And for Serbia, though, man.
Oh, man. Whoa, Joker. Gonna try to go in for the red buff, and without their gold laner, it's gonna be hard to contest for the Lord, and Spain knows that very well. They're gonna actually force out the team fight here. And the key is just gonna be Eduardo here, or rather Hayes with the final slash. And they're soaking up the damage here as early as now, as Mark gonna try to go in for a target. Not gonna find anyone as of the moment. They're gonna have to be extra careful, because the Lord is gonna be up in just a few more minutes. This is gonna be the enhanced Lord. The first time we're gonna be seeing it here for today, because most of the series that we've seen today, Arashi, it is only like 10 minutes in, right? It's not even the Luminous Lord, Dani? flickering out there. Glorious Pathway is in as Mark and the Minoans Fury from the backstand still CC immune for the Zeus in, as Alejandro will be able to pick up the Lord this time, but he's gonna do his own work there. He's gonna get caught in the middle, in between the members here of Spain. He gets the final slash onto one, but instead Alejandro will be the one picking up the kill. 2 kills right before the Lord, as Serbia, nice attempts from their side, but Spain just knows how to make it work this time.
Alejandro going for the Winter Crown as well. He just wants to find ways to enable himself to keep going in. And look at how they're playing. Erico is alone, just pushing right in front of the base of Serbia, unconcerned about any kind of retaliation. Spain waiting for the Lord, and it doesn't seem like they're gonna set up for a 3-wave push, but it might just end up being that way as they gather around in the mid lane. They're definitely going to get a top side, but can they get a bit more? Can they potentially even go for the end immediately?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to wait for Hayes' final slash, but now BBRS a little bit early there with the Glorious Pathway. Mark going to be able to find one. He gets taken down there by BBRS, but look at the setup there coming from the side of Serbia, but one by one, they're getting chunked down there by Enrico. Look at the damage coming through, and without Hayes, no playmaker is here. A double kill for Alejandro. The Lord is locking in the base, and it's over. Spain will be closing it out with 40 kills, 10 more than what they had in the first game.
What can you say, man? It's just complete brute force. It wasn't tactics. It wasn't strategy. They're just throwing brick against brick to try and get the advantage there. And man, Alejandro, with like a kill, with a record that can be used for a whole team on himself, that is insane, man. Spain just kept going for it, and there were crazy moments in this game. I mean, later on we can see in the final sequence a bit of an alley-up, away of the dragon into a penalty zone. I would say that some of these plays were unintentional. It just ends up being that way. You know, you keep making plays happen. Eventually, cool stuff is gonna happen. That's the mentality that people should go into ranked games with. But for Spain, man, they just kept going at it. And even when, you know, for a lot of teams, once they are holding a huge lead and then they lose a big team fight decisively, they kind of get discouraged. They kind of slow down. But not Spain. They don't care at all. This fight they were supposed to lose. They kind of won it, sort of. And Serbia actually has a lot more members available. But afterwards, they just underestimated Eduardo, man. He just keeps going in. And he seems to really know what he wants to do with this. Just going for all the sustain possible with the War Axe, with the Queen's Wings as well. And from there, they just turn it back immediately.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one song playing here in this entire game. It was the Alejandro song from Lady Gaga from my side. And Eduardo, right? Like, the penalty zones have been on point even in the previous games, right? But this game was, you're right? There was some team fights that they lost, but they were able to bounce back. Like, Serbia was starting to show in their power spike in the team fights, right? You've seen like some wipeouts and almost wipeouts, but eventually Spain was able to get a hold of everything and once again and was able to close out the game really nice and clean. No huge props as well to Serbia for this game, in particular Hayes and the Minotaur here for step ahead for setting up the plays, but unfortunately it was not enough to stop the Spain here in this entire game. 40 kills, man. First game it was 30. I thought it was just like, oh, maybe it's just a game number 1 thing, but man, it's just like it happened in both games, both with the Roger.
I mean, you can definitely say that Spain are they're kind of overachievers, man, because that was not necessary. There were other ways to go about business in that final game, but they decided that violence is the answer. And I gotta say, I'm all for it. You know, halfway through the game, I was thinking, who's the real winner here? Is it Serbia? Is it Spain? No, it's the fans back at home watching. So thank you very much. Unfortunately for today, that will be it for the matches. It is pretty late where we're at in Southeast Asia as well. So, Kim, anything you want to say to the audience right now?
Wow, all 2 zeros and a lot of Rogers here for today. I mean, a lot of different strategies that we haven't seen for me and Arashi in Southeast Asia. So it's a real treat for us. So thank you for being with us. We're going to be having a whole lot more matches all throughout the week for the European regional qualifiers. So please stay